only thing we have to
Beer.
is
Beer.
itself.
Beer. So many choices.
Only no function beer well without.
Woohoo! Beer! Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Busters, where we're going to bring you the news and reviews of some wonderful brews. My name is Dan Baker, as always joined by my co-host and brewerologist,
Steph Hefner,
and our fermentertainer,
Wayne Baker.
And now, today, we are once again on location, somewhere that I'm very excited to be. I've seen many articles and Facebook posts from my two counterparts here at the table from this place. We are on location at Conshohocken Brewing Company, and we have three very kind and generous people with us at the table. Gentlemen, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourselves.
How you doing? This is Ken. I'm one of the co-founders and owners.
This is Andrew. I'm the head brewer.
And Charlie. I'm one of the brewers as well.
Gentlemen, thank you for having us out here today. And I should also note that we are here, we're recording about 1 o'clock. Now, you guys don't open until 5, so thank you for letting us come in early before all the madness. And apparently we're interfering with a pretty big day, from what I understand, or a brew day, was it?
Yeah, we did. We actually blended some coffee into a upcoming beer this morning. Cool. Yeah, it was kind of up in the air as to whether we're going to be able to get done in time. So thanks for giving us an excuse to stop working.
Yeah, anyway. That's what we aim for. Yeah, trust me, I do the same thing myself. I stop working to work on this. Now, we have a lot in front of us today. Let's get started with some news. All right, so there were a few articles that I saw that are worth passing along. The first of which comes out of Texas. There is a brewery that has announced a 99-pack of beer.
I saw this.
Yeah,
on Facebook.
it's Austin Beer Works. They partnered with Helm's Workshop to launch the world's first and only 99-pack of its Peacemaker Anytime Ale. Moving it will take a few friends because the 99-pack is over 7 feet long and weighs 82 pounds, according to the brewery. And inside the box are 3 rows of 33 cans of the pale ale, which, if you can drink all of them, would mount to over 15,000 calories. What started out as a joke became very real when we realized how much people love the idea of 99 beers for $99.99. Austin Beer Works co-founder Michael Graham said that in a press release. A limited supply of the 99 packs are expected to hit selected stores this week. Good luck, and remember, the 99 pack creators warn on the website, lift with your legs, not your back. And as we've already said, the 7-foot-long monster is all yours for $99.99.
Does it break into like smaller, like 30 packs or anything? Does it sort of break it down?
No, not that I really saw.
How would you get it in your car?
There was a picture that I saw online, and I'll have to dig this one up for you. I'll send it to you, Wayne, so we can post it with the episode. There was a picture of somebody had it in the backseat of their car, across and poking out both windows.
Like wings? Like wings made of beer?
Yeah, pretty much. Ooh, that would actually work out pretty well.
That's funny.
But if you find yourself in Texas, 99 pack of beer for $99.99.
I think they missed a real good marketing opportunity here by doing bottles instead of cans, because who doesn't like to play 99 bottles of beer on the wall?
I like that.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I never thought of that. I like it.
Good point.
So the last thing that I saw that I thought was worth passing along, there was an article. It was on Thrillist.com. I mentioned them a few times before.
Another exclusive list.
Yes,
of
another
rankings.
exclusive list of rankings brought to us by our friends at Thrillist. They have ranked every state in America based off of their beer. So
based off of the quality of beer?
Quantity
of beer? Okay.
Yeah, it looks to be. So number 50 was Mississippi.
So don't go to Mississippi?
Apparently not. If you listen to this, chances are you won't like Mississippi. Then you have West Virginia at 49.
No offense to anybody listening in Mississippi.
No, just apparently your your state is not the best for beer. 48 was Rhode Island. 47 was North Dakota. 46 was Nevada. We have family out there. With the Nevada, the blurb is Booze is a big business in the Silver State with brewers like Great Basin. Most of that silver is in bullet form. Ha 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 ha. Number 45 was South Dakota, 44 Nebraska, Hawaii, 42 was New Jersey, 41 was New Hampshire, and each of these has a little blurb with them as to why they are ranked where they are, but for time I won't go into all of that. 40 was Wyoming, then Connecticut, Arkansas, South Carolina, Kansas, Arizona at 35, Iowa, Tennessee, Kentucky.
The 50 Nifty song is going through my head right now.
I always think of French, Guyana, Barbados, and Guam. Yep, the Animaniacs countries of the world zone.
New Mexico is 30. I would rank them higher.
We skipped over 31, which was Georgia. But yes, 30 is New Mexico, 29 is Idaho, then Virginia, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Alaska, Maryland, Montana, Alabama, Utah. Going into the top 20, we have Texas. 19 is Delaware, which, of course...
And it has
I'm
a
in
huge
Delaware.
Dogfish Head logo.
Yes, and they have a picture of the state of Delaware shaped out of Dogfish Head logos. 18 is Indiana. Then you have Florida, Minnesota, North Carolina.
Liking this, we're getting pretty close to the top, and we haven't said Pennsylvania
I
yet.
know. Maine is 14. Illinois is 13. Illinois, sorry, can't speak anymore.
Illinois.
Ohio is 12. Missouri is 11. Going into the top 10, you have Massachusetts.
Jackson.
And then number 9 is New York. Number 8 is Pennsylvania.
Nice. Not
And
bad.
they list a lot of the places that we've featured on our show, which I really like. Trogue, Stouts, Yards, Victory, Voodoo. However, they don't have, and I have to write them a nasty email about this, they don't have Conshohocken Brewing listed.
Hopefully when they move up to number 1, they will.
Yes, there you go. 7 was Wisconsin. 6 is Vermont, Washington, then Michigan, Colorado. Number 2 is California. Number 1 they have listed as Oregon.
That's
Oregon,
not surprising.
Portland.
Yes. Yeah, and then they have breweries out of there like Widmer Brothers. They have Rogue, Full Sail, Deschutes, which is making the national rounds now. We'll have this linked off of our website at beerbusterspodcast.com, which this episode I'm determined to not turn into a drinking game.
I forgot we did that last time.
Yeah, trust me, I didn't as I was editing. So
We did get a little out of hand last episode.
the last episode we started off by sampling Woot Stout 2.0 because I was in California recently. It's a 13.5% beer. So we started off with that, and it just derailed from there, and it became every time we mentioned our website, we encouraged the listeners to drink with us. We wound up at like 17 by the end of it. So we're not going to make that a drinking game this time.
We should
Sounds like
try
they
to
could have used
not
the
mention it.
99 can.
Yeah, really.
Yes, that's perfect. I like it. But that is all I really saw that was on the interwebs for news we're passing along. Those links will be up on our website. And now, as I mentioned before the news, we have 3 very generous gentlemen with us at the table here, inviting us into the really cool space.
This is an awesome spot, yeah.
I really like it. So coming in, it's off of, what is this, Elm Street right out front in Conshohocken. So you come in, and it's this one-way street. And I'll admit, I didn't go far enough and thought I was immediately on the wrong street. So if you're listening to this and you're like me, keep going. You will find it. But once you come in, it's just this really cool, like, laid-back bar environment. There's a TV on right now playing Shaft, which is kind of cool. And then I spotted the menu. And the menu looks awesome. There's a few things on there that I like the look of, both beer and food. There's a pulled pork sandwich, there's beef chili, and then you get into the beer, there's Gandalf the White IPA, and the board says, "You shall not pass this up," which Wayne and I are pretty big nerds, so that struck a good chord with us. But we really want to thank you guys for having us.
We have to
here
mention
today.
one of the coolest features, the deck out back.
Yes, the deck.
The
How
nice
could I forget
big
the deck?
garage doors and the deck that sits right on the what is the trail?
The Schuylkill River Trail.
The Schuylkill,
bike
obviously,
path.
because
Yep.
that makes sense. It's literally right out back,
Yeah.
so you could ride your bike up, park it. There's places to chain your bike up, come in and have a beer.
Yeah, it's really
Food.
cool. You look out the deck, you see that, and then there's really cool railroad tracks, and then just like this huge, I guess that can qualify as a mountain. Why not?
It's a hillish sort of
A
thing.
hillish,
Yeah.
sort of mountainish thing.
And-
But it's just really cool scenery looking out the back.
And actually, the last time I was here with Steph, we were out on the deck, and I snapped a picture with my cell phone, and that is now the background on my cell phone. The view from the back
Oh,
of here.
cool.
It looks pretty cool. Yeah,
That's
so.
really cool. Now, you guys have been open, what was it, the end of last year, beginning of this year, was it?
April 1st.
April of this year, okay.
And I was here opening weekend, and I will never forget it because the Bruins Flyers game was on the TV. And I'm a huge Bruins fan,
Then I'm on Flyers. So,
as our listeners know.
yeah, exactly.
Sports.
There it is.
Delay.
There it is.
Yeah, delayed reaction. So since April 1st, how's the reception been for you guys in the area?
It's been really well so far. We're now in about 45 bars and restaurants throughout the area, both local and downtown, and in some of the outer suburbs as well. So things are going great in terms of distribution. The tap room is pretty packed all the time. We actually have some bike clubs that meet here, running club that meets here on Thursdays. So especially with our location off the trail, it's really played well with kind of the local community and some of their other recreational activities that they're doing.
So that's a pretty big selling point, being right on the trail there. I imagine that brings a lot of traffic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's even a bike parking area
Yeah.
down there. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yep, and
And
we
you're-
actually have Conshohocken bike jerseys now as well
Oh,
for
okay.
sale.
Oh, that's cool.
We've got one of
Yeah,
them
I saw
hung
that.
up over there.
That looks really
Yeah.
cool.
I'm
Yep.
sure Rich snapped a picture of that, so we'll have to get that on the website.
If
And
not,
your-
he's going to do it right now.
And your logo also has a biker on it. Do you want to talk about a bit about the
Exactly.
logo?
So kind of the whole theme of our company tries to tie into that 1800s industrial spirit The bike that we feature is actually a bike from back during that time period. It's called the Velocipede or the Bone Shaker. So you see there's not actual pedals kind of in the middle where your standard bikes of today are. It was kind of direct pedal on that front wheel. So if you hit a bump, watch out. But we also tie into that history with the bowler hat that the guy is wearing. And obviously he's got a delicious Conshohocken beer in his hand as well. Not that we're recommending biking while intoxicated.
No, park your bike out back, come up the steps, and come in and enjoy a beer.
Yes.
And then sober up before you ride away.
Yeah, he's carrying the beer to where he's going to stop and drink it.
Yes. Yeah, and I noticed you guys have the growlers back along the bar there. So are all of your beers available for growler fills?
Yes, they are, and we actually have 2 types of growlers. Those are the glass ones that we have right now. We've placed an order for a second batch of stainless steel ones, which, again, plays well off the bike path. If you happen to drop it, it's not going to break.
Yeah.
It'll keep it colder for much longer as well compared to the regular glass. So those should be arriving within the next 2 weeks, and then we'll have those for sale as well.
That should be really, really cool. So by the time this episode goes up, they should, in theory, be available. That's awesome. Now, I have to ask this. Who names the beers?
It's kind of a collaborative effort. Effort's probably the wrong word. It's more like a fight. Everybody comes up with a little something, and it's kind of, some of them end up being a war of attrition. Some of them end up being we hit the nail on the head right away off the bat, and we end up liking it. So we haven't named everything yet, but the stuff we have named, we are really happy with. And kind of like the theme that we're going with.
Yeah, it's really cool. And just so people can kind of get so besides the Gandalf one I mentioned, there's the Conti Blonde Ale, there's Puddler's Row ESB, Ivory Leg Imperial Wit. And I'll admit, I was looking at the menu before we snapped our picture for the website, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, the Imperial Wit's $122 to fill a growler. And then I realized that's a slash. So I need to go back to school, apparently. But
wow.
Like, wow, what is that?
Even the 99 pack is an $122.
I know.
And one of the coolest things, and I noticed this as soon as I came the first time, I love that your beers, you offer them in like 4, 8, and 16-ounce pours, and the prices reflect that. Like for the IPA, it's like $1.50, and then it just increases steadily, and not just like where you go somewhere and it's $6 for a pint. Well, if you want a half pint, it's $5. I like how your beers are appropriately priced, and as someone who frequents breweries, I really appreciated that.
Yeah, and it's nice to be able to get the smaller pours to have a sample of several of them and know that you're going to get a decent price for the smaller pour.
Yeah. Well, we also knew we kind of had to do that because we're not in the middle of the city. We can't just get on the subway and go home. We might be a little bit of a trek for some people, and we're right off the bike path. So give everybody options. We want everyone to try everything. So throw the 1 ounce pour out there, throw the 8 ounce pour out there, and make sure that everyone can try everything they want to before they're a little too drunk to get back on the bike.
Or they can't get on the bike or whatever and get home. Yeah.
So do you do flights then, or like any organized flights, or is it just people can come in and choose their 4 ounce pours for everything?
No, we do flights. We currently offer flights for 4 beers at a time, basically, so you can work your way through the whole menu. And it's cool. It ends up being, I think it's just the 1 ounce price for the beer. I can't remember. Taproom's not my department.
Yeah, typically we give them all out in the 4 ounce pours. So 4 ounce pours ends up around $5, which is essentially the equivalent of a pint if you're just going to get one of them.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. Now, you both you, Andrew and Charlie, you have some brewing history, both local and not so local. Do you each want to talk about sort of your ride and how you ended up here at Conshohocken?
Yeah, sure. I actually started out at Victory when I was taking post-grad courses in biology, and I worked 6 months as an intern in their lab. From there, I went up to Vermont with Harpoon, and I was a cellarman there, and then same at Weyerbacher up in Easton. Then finally made my way back home.
So you're also from Conshohocken?
From Malvern.
From the Malvern area. Very cool.
Very close.
What about you?
I started brewing with Yards several years back, and was there when they moved facilities and learned a lot there. And from there, left Pennsylvania for Colorado and ended up at Oscar Blues and Avery for a while. And from Colorado, decided to go farther west and spent a year in Portland, Oregon before Ken and John stole me back to Pennsylvania.
It's a pretty impressive lineup of past history. So it's all really great breweries. So.
When you were in Oregon, were you working for a brewery out there? Or?
I was working for a brewery called Breakside Brewing Company, or Breakside Brewery. It's not a brewing company. I always mess that one up. But Yeah, they are a very successful brew pub that just recently, a little over a year ago when I was out there, opened up a production facility so they could expand their distribution.
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I see in our notes it says you guys like to specialize in sessionable, well-balanced beers. So what's the sort of the philosophy behind focusing on that?
I think for me, and Charlie, feel free to speak up. We just kind of tend towards more of the well-balanced side. We don't want to make anything too extreme, but at the same time, we really want to make beers that we want to drink more than trying to target towards any sort of made-up or mysterious demographic out there of people who love this or this other brewery did this and it went great. We should try to do the same thing. So we really, we don't make any extreme beers with yeast from ancient Egyptian pharaohs or
the stomachs of hornets.
Or any nuts ingredients like weasel poop coffee or anything like that. But, at the same time, we're not against pushing the envelope. It's just every time we do push the envelope or every beer we make, we want it to be something that we would sit down and drink, and that normally lends itself to something well balanced and flavorful and not too obtuse. Yeah,
I definitely think that's really the kind of the main theme in the way we brew is we brew what we like to drink because at the end of the day we're going to want to enjoy it, and we're spending all day making it. We're going to put a little bit more care into it. If we like it.
And I like that a number of your beers are in the 4 or 5% range. So even if you want to come in and have a pint, you can have a couple pints and still be standing on your feet. But you did I see on Facebook you just tapped a double IPA today?
Yes, we did tap a double IPA today, and we're planning on having that as part of the tasting.
Foreshadowing.
Ooh, hey. I like the sound of that.
So there are
Stay
some
tuned.
beers for those that want something a little more intense.
Yeah, typically we'll have at least 2 higher strength beers out of our 10 taps, and then the rest will either be more towards the sessionable side or in that 5% to 6% range.
Excellent.
So you have a handful of sessionable for normal people, and then 2 that are sessionable for Dan that crack 10-12%, right?
We've had to
about
educate
that.
Dan on the sessionable word.
Yeah, when we started, I thought that session was really just you like the taste of it and kept wanting to drink more and more. So I accidentally called a 13% beer sessionable. So that's been the running gag.
We've
for a
never
year.
let him live it down.
No, of course not.
That sounds like a great session, though.
Yeah, exactly. See, somebody gets it.
A short session. Fall over.
Yeah.
So I have to say, the first time I was in here, opening weekend, that's when I met John, and he was nice enough to take about 5 minutes to chat with me because I did an article for our website about the opening. And the 2 things he told me about you guys, and I'm sure you probably read over the notes, is, Andrew, that you don't like to talk very much, but you will talk about beer, heavy metal, ice hockey, and pit bulls. And the one thing, Charlie, that he told me about you is that your love for beer started with your 7th grade science fair project.
Yeah.
So are those accurate assessments that John gave me of the 2 of you?
Somewhat.
It's pretty true.
Talk about the science fair project
I'm
a
curious
little
about the
bit.
science fair project.
So there was 5 plants, and I fed each one water, milk, Gatorade, and beer. The beer one grew the best.
Did it really?
No, it did not.
I was going to say.
I got it immediately.
Wow. Where did you procure the beer?
And
when you were in
what
7th
beer
grade?
was it?
You don't remember what beer? I'm sure you have no idea.
I'm not
That's
going
hilarious.
to incriminate anyone.
Where did you get that idea? Like to add beer to it?
I was just, whatever was in the fridge.
Fair enough.
It was like a last-minute science project.
Yeah.
Random liquid. Oh, those are the best kind.
Yeah.
That's fun.
It was a science fair project, actually.
Right.
So, Andrew, I have to say, you have been pretty chatty, though. I'm feeling like John kind of deceived me a little bit.
Well, John's been giving me public speaking courses, daily affirmations I do in the bathroom at 5:30 when I show up before Charlie gets here. Because it's even hard to talk to Charlie sometimes without collapsing into a puddle of anxiety.
And of course, when the subject is beer, I'm sure that's a lot easier to.
Yes, of
yeah,
course.
much easier.
Brewers can always talk about beer.
Yes.
So, Ken, you and John are the co-founders of this
Yep.
company. How did that idea come about?
So we actually met about 11 years ago. We both started our first jobs out of college together. He went to St. Joe's, I went to Princeton. And even back then, we kind of had that entrepreneurial spirit. we were talking about potentially starting like a cigar bar / mini golf course in North Carolina at one point until
I would have gone to that.
we realized, what are we talking about? But we ended up splitting up, going to different jobs. Then I started home brewing about 5 years ago or so. John started joining me for some of those home brew sessions, and then we'd start to win some local competitions and whatnot. And he's like, oh, we should start a brewery. And at first I'm like, okay, this is probably going to be right next to our mini golf cigar bar golf course somewhere and not really take off. But he just put a lot of effort into finding a space, finding us an investment group and everything like that. And then kind of once we got the investment group, then it became real. We got the space back in October, brought Andrew on right around that time as well. So he got to go through all the pains of the build-out with us and actually probably experience more of them than we did. And then 6 months later, April 1st, we were open. So things have been going well so far.
You know, it's funny. A lot of the people that we've talked to who were involved in the founding of a brewery in one way or another always consistently say, you know, one day we were just talking to somebody, like, hey, we should open a brewery. And it's like, ha, 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 it'll never happen. And then, like, you know, like a year later, they have a brewery.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny how that works.
So was Conshohocken always the front runner for your location, or was it just kind of this is where your building happened to be that you liked?
So John lived here for, I believe, 8 years, and I lived here for about 6 years, kind of in that post-college time period. So we were very familiar with the area and kind of the younger demographic, especially with all the new recent apartment complexes going in. We knew those were the people that are likely to be craft beer adopters, especially if it's local. So this was always towards the front of our list. We did look at a few other locations as well, but once we saw the proximity to the bike trail, knowing about all the current construction and somewhat recent construction going on in the area, knowing our access to the R6 between the Spring Mill and Conshohocken train stations, we figured it was a great place to locate, especially given our history in the area.
And for parking, it's perfect because you have that large lot just down the block that offers lots of space for people that want to drive here. And I know that's one of my complaints when I visit, because we live in the Reading area, so we always drive down to Philly, and it's always difficult to find a spot, or you have to pay a meter to be able to visit some of the breweries. So,
or you have to sit in the back seat and listen to you and Rich bicker about where to park for like half an hour.
So it's nice that just down the block there's a nice big area, so you don't have to worry about stressing about getting a spot if you want to drive here as well.
Yeah, our own lot is very small, but we do have kind of a contract in place with the Quaker Chemical lot at the end of the street. So there's pretty much unlimited parking, starting when we open at 5 during the week, and then at noon on weekends. So we try to urge people to park down there. There's some off-street parking as well, which we can't stop people from taking, but
right.
we do
ask you very nicely not to park there.
Yeah. And if you refuse, yeah, okay.
It's only a block walk.
Exactly.
And on a day like today, it was.
And that's a huge
beautiful
parking lot down there. Even today, last time we were here, it was empty because it was a weekend. But even today, with I guess the businesses being open, I mean, there's still plenty of room. Yeah,
absolutely.
I didn't get to that lot. I'm out here on the street. Sorry. Well, again, guys, we can't thank you enough for having us out here. I really like it. I'm really digging it, and I'm very excited to try some of the beers. I've heard nothing but good things out of these two for them. Now, I know one thing that we'd like to do is we play a game that Wayne comes up with. Wayne, what do we have today?
Well, cue the music, maestro. Welcome to another iteration of the celebration of Fungication that is Happy Fun Time Games. I have an inclination that all this ramification is an indication of the particular classification of the emulation on this occasion.
Wow.
In the continuation of the Beerducation of the Beer Busters Nation, it's time for Libation or Fabrication. Yes. The Wither-2s and Y4s of this classic and quintessential Happy Fun Time game need no repeating, but I will do it anyway. We all know that in the world of craft beer, there is no shortage of absurd, unusual, humorous, and occasionally vulgar monikers applied to the concoctions of beersmiths. I have collected some strange beer names and interspersed a few completely meaty-uppy ones as well. Your task is just to decide what is real and what is a tricksy deceit. I will give the name of a beer, and each of you will decide whether it is an actual libation or a complete fabrication. We'll alternate who goes first for each one and total the points at the end to see who is the grand champion master of the universe, or at least who won the game. Starting to my left, kind of, sort of, although you're kind of right in front of me today, but we're going to count it as to my left, with Dan. And the first beer here is Mother Funker. Is that a real or fake beer?
I'm going to go with real.
Dan is going to say real. Steph, what do you think?
I'm also going to say real.
Also going to say real. And Ken?
I'm going with real as well.
Ken is also going with real. All right, I'm sensing a pattern here. Andrew, what do you think?
I think that's real.
You think that's real as well? And rounding it out with Charlie, real or fake?
I'm going with real.
Oh, following with the flow, and that's a good idea because that is, in fact, real. It was a one-time release by the Brewery. Motherfunker is a 6% sour blonde ale that was aged for several years in barrels predominantly used for Chardonnay. A seriously sour beer, one of the most sour beers they've ever produced, bursting with citrus funk and a hint of white vinegar. Motherfunker is for those who like their sours with more sour. So it's sour, is what they're saying. That is absolutely correct, and everyone got that one right. We're moving on to Steph to go first on this one, and the next beer here is called Muffin Top. Is that real or fake?
Real.
Steph says that is real. Ken, do you think Muffin Top is real?
Certainly real.
Absolutely real. And Andrew, what do you think?
I'm going fully on hope on this one. I hope it's real.
You hope it's real, okay. Hoping that it's real. Charlie, what do you think?
I think it's real.
You also think it's real. And finally, Dan?
I'm going to go fake.
You're going to go fake to buck the trend. Not a good idea because you were wrong. That is absolutely
Clown
real.
Shoes, is it?
Muffin Top is a hoppy Belgian-style triple by Clown Shoes.
You know what? I've seen that on the shelf, and I haven't bought it.
Just cracks double digits at 10% ABV. It combines the attributes of a Belgian triple with a huge burst of American hops. Speaking of seeing it on the shelf, the label features a couple that are hand in hand and both sporting some impressive muffin tops, walking down a beach toward a pair of giant shoes in the distance for some reason.
Well, clown shoes.
Moving along. Ken's going to go first on this one, and the name of this beer is Pan Galactic Gargle Blaster. Is that real or is that fake?
I'm going to go fake for this one.
You're going to go fake on that one. Andrew, what do you think?
That sounds like a beer that a beer named John would come up with, so I'm going to go real.
You're going to say that's real? Okay, Charlie, you think that's real or fake?
I'm thinking fake.
You're thinking fake as well, Dan?
I want it to be real, but I'm going fake.
You're going fake? Okay, and Steph, finally.
I'm saying fake because that has your name written all over it.
It does not have my name written all over it. It is fake, but I did not invent it.
It's got Douglas Adams written all over it.
That's right. The Pan Galactic Gargle Blaster is a fictional cocktail featured in the inimitable Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series by the late Douglas Adams. May the great green Arkelseizure embrace his soul and harbor him at the coming of the great white handkerchief. The effects of this beverage have been compared to having your brain smashed out by a slice of lemon wrapped around a large gold brick. But to be fair, recipes for an actual, in real-life version of this libation have since been devised. None of them, however, beer. I actually heard that you could order it at the bar at TGI Fridays. I don't know if that's true or not.
What?
Yeah, that they had a Pan Galactic Gargle Blaster there.
I'm going to look that up.
You can look that up, yes. Moving along, and Andrew goes first on this one, and this beer is called Even More Jesus. Is that real or fake?
That's real.
It says that's real. And Charlie, what do you think?
I'm going to say fake.
You're going to say it's fake? Okay, Dan, what do you think?
I'm going to go real.
You're going to go real as well. Steph?
Real.
Real. And finally, Andrew?
Ken, I'm going real
okay, I'm
from
sorry.
Duclaw.
Real and from Duclaw. Yes, it is real. It's a big old 12% Imperial Stout. Actually, by Evil Twin Brewing. Evil Twin Brewing, excuse me. And I will defer to the description on their website. A few times in the history of craft beer, it has happened that a highly praised beer rises beyond mortal stardom into a higher godly league. Usually the recipe to make such a heavenly drops is thick fudge-like body, pitch black color, amazingly overwhelming aromas of chocolate, coffee, dark fruits, and muscovado sugar, obviously only made in limited amounts, and most crucial of all, it must taste rare. Absolutely real. And our final beer of the day, and Charlie goes first on this one, and this beer is called the Ant Farm, formerly known as Napoleon's Randy Bavarian Dunkelweizen. Is that real or fake?
What?
Fake.
Fake. All right. Yeah, what do you think? Real or fake?
I'm going fake.
You're going fake as well. Steph?
I'm going to say real.
You're going to say real. Okay. And Ken?
I'm going to go fake.
You're going to go fake. And finally, Andrew?
Also going fake on
also
that one.
Going fake. Steph was the only one who got it wrong. That is fake. I did not make that one up either, though. That was actually randomly generated by the beer name generator at strangebrew.ca.
Wait, this is a real thing?
Brewing software. Yes,
wow.
A powerful and easy-to-use recipe database for all types of home brewers. Yes, if you go to strangebrew.ca, they have a beer name generator. And it will generate random beer names. One
is that related to the movie Strange Brew?
Then it tells you to take off and calls you a hoser.
I don't know if it's related to Anyway, we're going to add up the points here and see who our big winner was today. And there's a lot of points to add up because we have a lot of guests playing the game today. So, carry the 1, carry the 7, 2.
I'm just going to leave the music playing as filler at this point.
I did tally it up. I could just give it to you.
You could, because you always double-check my work. But it looks like, if my calculations are correct, our big winner today was Ken, with all 5 correct.
5.
Coming in a 3-way tie for second place with 4 points are Dan, Andrew, and Charlie, and sitting at the bottom of the pile with only 3 points.
Oh, I had
Steph.
4?
Did you? Steph was also tied for third place with 4 points. Sorry, I added wrong.
It happened.
That was pretty good. We all did really well.
Yeah, every had 4 and 5
that
points.
was a lot
yes.
of points.
That was a one by
a lot of points were given.
A lot of points.
Many
A
points
lot of points were given. All right, so I feel like learning something.
No. Your beers. No. Know your beers.
Steph?
So today we're going to talk about another new style of beer emerging from the craft beer world. Dark like a porter, but hoppy like an IPA. Some call it a Cascadian Dark Ale. Others call it a black IPA or an India Dark Ale. This style came about in the northwest coast of North America in the early 21st century. Northwest hops play key flavor roles balanced with malts. Roasted malts give color and flavor with body reminiscent of an IPA, not heavy like a porter or stout. Typical hop selections would be Columbus, Centennial, Chinook, Amarillo, Simcoe, and Cascade, or hybrids of these like Warrior or Magnum. The style celebrates the hops of Cascadia, the Pacific Northwest. So who brewed the first Cascadian Dark Ale? Some say it was Greg Noonan of Vermont in the early 90s, but it has yet to be proven. We do know that 2 widely known examples came from the Northwest. In 2003, John Meyer of Rogue Brewing Company in Oregon made Skull Splitter, a black interpretation of his brutal, bitter, strong IPA. About that same time, Matt Phillips, owner of Phillips Brewing in Victoria, British Columbia, brewed Black Toke, an India Dark Ale. Since then, many dark, brown, or black beers of IPA proportions have been brewed by Northwest breweries, usually as a specialty beer made for a festival. The style gained greater exposure when Widmer Brewing made Pitch Black IPA, and it won the gold medal at the GABF. Now this beer is part of their bottle lineup and distributed in several states. So here are the specs on a Cascadian Dark Ale. The aroma is reminiscent of Northwest hop aromas, citrus, pine, resonant, along with sweet malts, hints of roast, toast, and chocolate malts. The appearance is a deep brown to black with ruby highlights, and the head varies from white to tan or khaki and is generally long-lasting. The flavor is a balance between piney, citrus-like, and spicy Northwest hop flavors with caramel malts and roasted or dark chocolate flavors. The emphasis, of course, is on the hop flavor, which when combined with roasted malts often exhibits a minty or spicy character. The mouthfeel is light to medium with dry finish, and the resinous character from high levels of dry hopping may create a tongue-coating sensation. The IBUs are usually 60 or higher. Of course, the sky's always the limit, and the ABV typically falls between 6 and 8%. Some other examples would be Hopwork Succession CDA, Barley Brown's Turmoil, Lucky Labs Black Sheep, Three Creeks 8-Second IBA, Block 15, Stone's 11th Anniversary, the Sublimely Self-Righteous Ale, Rogue's Black Brutal, Laughing Dog Dogzilla, and Southern Tier Iniquity. And of course, today we're going to get a chance to try the Cascadian Dark Ale here, Doll's Eye CDA, which I like yours because yours is even a little bit lower ABV at 4.8%. And I had it my very first time here or second time here, and it was one of the standouts for me. So that's sort of what inspired this rendition of Know Your Beers. So, Andrew, do you want to talk a little bit more about your recipe and your CDA here?
Sure. Kind of like what we hinted at earlier, we kind of go for beers that we want to drink, and I've had a lot of those CDAs, specifically my time in the Northwest, and I've found a lot of them just to be on the more aggressive side, just for my palate. So I kind of wanted to tone it down a little bit, still put all of that flavor in there, but not make it such a big, unapproachable beer. Specifically, kind of coming back to the Mid-Atlantic, where people might not be quite as adventurous as they are in the hipster mecca of Portland, Oregon. So we kind of looked to keep it very, very flavorful with really great hop flavor, but then still balance it out and not have it just be a roasty black hoppy bomb of a beer.
Very cool. And you use Cascade and Nugget in your version?
We use a little bit of Cascade, but the predominant hops from the dry hops are Nugget and Chinook.
Very
cool.
Chinook's
there too. Cool.
I have to confess a little bit of ignorance here about the style. I didn't realize that Cascadian Dark Ale and Black IPA were essentially interchangeable as style.
Yeah, and it's
descriptors.
not technically considered an actual beer style yet.
Right.
There are suggested guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
It is GABF, correct?
It actually is. I think this last year was the first year at the GABF. They had this as a style, but it's American Black Ale to keep from annoying anybody from the Northwest or Vermont, where they're both arguing about who made it first.
Right, and it's not, but it's not yet a BJCP.
I think that's because,
style.
correct me if I'm wrong, Ken, but the BJCP updates like every 4 years or 6 years, and GABF updates every year.
So they just haven't rolled around yet.
Yeah.
I think either next year or the year after that is their next update, but they have announced some additional styles. I just don't know what they are off the top of my head.
Hopefully this is one of them.
We didn't mention that when we were doing our interview. You're a BJCP judge, right?
I am, yeah. John and I are both BJCP certified. We judge when we can. Since opening, it's been a little bit less, but we still try to get where we can, when we can.
Yeah. Very cool.
Speaking of judging some beers.
Judging is such a harsh word for that.
Beer me! Beer me! Beer me! Beer me!
All right, so we've got 4 beers that are sitting in front of us here, and I understand we're starting with a special beer. Charlie, what do we have up first?
This here is the ESB. It's one of my personal favorites. One of Andrew's as well. He won a bronze medal. I feel weird kind of speaking about this. Speaking of the beer that he won a bronze medal for at the GABF last year.
It was my recipe for another brewery. So, yes, a similar recipe has done well in national beer competitions,
and it does well here. It's got like a real nice, clean, malty nose to it.
It does.
You know, on the palate, it's got that caramel, very slight roast, very smooth toffee character.
Ooh. Yeah, you definitely get the toffee at the end.
You do, yeah,
but it
yeah.
finishes nice and dry. It's delicious.
Hashtag cleans up for itself.
Smooth
Hashtag cleans up
on the
for
front
itself.
and back end.
See, somebody else uses the word smooth.
But you notice that wasn't the only adjective he used.
Shush, all right?
This is very good, and ESB has become a style that I wasn't really into until fairly recently, and I've really been getting into it. I like it. It's sort of a nice sort of calm step back from the IPAs and the heavy porters.
I feel like it's a big underdog style.
Yeah.
Because people will go out to craft beer bars and everyone's always got an IPA, so IPA just kind of becomes the creature of habit go-to beer, and it's almost like twisting people's arms in some places to get them to drink something that doesn't have India ale something
somewhere
up
in
there.
it.
So,
Right. Yeah. I was actually telling Steph earlier today, a guy I work with I was talking to him about our podcast. He's like, "Oh, my brother's really into craft beer." It's like, "Oh yeah," he goes, "Yeah, he drinks those. What are they? Those IPAs?" Like, yeah, I'm sure he does.
Those IPAs.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the ESB and Saison, which we have one in the lineup, are 2 beer styles that I think are fantastic and are a little sort of underrated on the whole.
Mm.
And I like it because it's sometimes malty beers to me can seem very thick, but this is very easy to drink. It's light, but you still get the sweetness and the maltiness, but then it finishes nice and dry. And so it would pair great with food, or even if you just wanted to drink a few of them at the bar. It's really well balanced. It's a delicious beer.
I've been told it's fantastic with our pulled pork.
Oh, I imagine it would be, yeah.
He's been staring at that menu.
I mean, not only because I'm facing it, but like everything on it just seems so
What
good.
do I have to do to get a pulled pork sandwich?
Well, now I have extra reason to come back during
That's
business
right.
hours.
You have extra special reason?
Insert Wayne pun here.
Yeah, right.
I had
Lord
an
knows there's enough of
IPA.
them.
I had an IPA recently, and it was called Insert Hot Pun Here. That was the name of the IPA.
That's funny. I
I
like
thought
that.
of you.
That's pretty cool.
That's funny.
Ooh, I like that one. So, okay. So now this is the one we were talking about earlier. So, Andrew, we've got the CDA coming up now, right?
Yep, next one's the CDA. And we talked a little bit about it earlier. The predominant hops in here are, the dry hops at least, are Nugget and Chinook, and there's a hefty amount of Cascade in the kettle. And I kind of picked those hops so that they would complement the malt profile, which we talked about a little earlier. Charlie mentioned is a little roasty, but not overly burnt, not overly acrid, and still very approachable. At kind of a 4.8. This is another one that we try and sell a lot of in the tap room, and it's one where if you give somebody a taste, they're going to buy a pint.
It's really good. And I think the roastiness comes out in the aroma, and then the hops come in the taste.
I get a little
I get
a sweetness out of it too.
In the back.
No, I got it up front.
No, yeah, I'm getting a little at the end. Yeah, a little sweetness.
I love the spiciness of the hops. It's so celebrated with those malts. It's delicious. Almost like there's rye there. Mm-hmm. You get like that, that spiciness, that tinge.
It's sort of a hint of it there, holding up the hops, as it were.
No rye, a little bit of wheat, but most of that's just from the darker malts and the hops that we use, kind of mimic that spice, that kick that rye can give you.
Right.
Anyone that's been following my articles lately, I think this is becoming one of my new favorite beer styles. It's just like everything I love about beer celebrated. I love the extreme bitter hoppiness, but I love the roasty, dark malt bitterness as well. And when you put them, how can you go wrong by putting them together?
Yeah, and it is a really interesting style, and I think it kind of appeals to both the IPA fan and the roasted malty fan, and it kind of has a little bit of everything going on with it. And this one in particular is very well balanced.
Yeah, it is.
And it's another example of a dark beer is not going to be necessarily what you think it's going to be.
Not necessarily
like a lot of times,
thick and heavy. And,
right. I'll talk to people and they'll be like, what do you want to drink? Well, I don't want anything dark. I don't like dark beers. Well, you can't make a statement like that because there's such a variety of dark beers out there, and the color is growing as well in diversity. And
yeah, absolutely.
It's delicious.
Thank you.
How many IBUs is this?
That one tops out about 50.
Just enough.
Yeah, exactly. Not over the top.
Although I will say I'm looking forward to the double IPA. I've been craving something super bitter lately for no real reason.
Yeah. We were talking about color just in general. These 4 beers sitting in a row next to each other have a nice.
They're so pretty.
They run the gamut of the spectrum. Yeah.
I got a really good picture of it in front of the computer that I'm going to make sure we post somewhere.
Yeah. So you will see that out there in internet land. It's a very pretty beers.
Internet landia.
I was just going to say that. And the podcastiverse. Ooh.
That was good. Look at the lacing.
Yeah.
I love when you finish a beer and the glass still looks like that.
You know what's really funny is that when you first picked that up, it almost looked like a smiley face.
It kind of does.
The glass is happy.
All right, so next up is, the Saison?
Yes. Yeah, the Lealta Saison. Little history on this beer. We brewed it a few months ago for my wedding.
Well, congratulations on that. That's awesome.
Lealta is the Italian word for loyalty.
And
there you go.
Yeah, so I have a particular affinity for Belgian beers, and I really wanted to. I had this recipe from my homebrew files, and I pulled it out and tweaked it a little bit, and I'm really happy with it. You get on the nose a lot of banana, almost like those circus peanuts.
Yeah, real, I really love the aroma on this.
Real estery, and it's got a particular spicy hop aroma to it. That's really nice.
Ooh, it is very good.
Yeah, it finishes pretty dry.
You wouldn't expect it because of the sweetness you get up front. You would think it's going to be thick and syrupy.
Because you get a lot of the banana, like you said, and even like the circus peanuts. That was a good description in the aroma, and then you get a lot of that sweetness when you first sip it. But then at the end it dries out really nicely.
Yeah, dry and effervescent.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us what yeast you used with this?
DuPont strain.
Very popular strain. A very wonderful strain.
Yeah.
We brewed just a 15-barrel batch of it, so half of our capacity, and we liked it so much and it sold so quickly that we had to brew a second batch. And like I said, it sold so quickly that the second batch wasn't even ready by the time it was off tap. So we went through 15 barrels in about 17 days.
That's the ultimate compliment.
Yeah,
when
definitely.
you run out of your beer.
It's very good, and Saison is like I said about the ESB, is one of those styles that's really fun to explore and I think underrated. And this sits, I think, on the sweeter side for a Saison, but it does, like we said, clean up after itself at the end. It dries out nicely, doesn't linger. Yeah.
I need to trademark that phrase.
Really, hashtag cleans up after itself.
It's so good.
We'll add that to the list of things we need to do.
It's still, I don't want to drink it too quickly, though. Let's not move on to the next beer.
You want to have your beer and drink it too?
I want to have my beer and drink it too. You realize this is the second saison we've had on the show that was brewed for someone's wedding.
Yeah, the other one was
Mike Coons.
No, the one we had.
This is not the one I brewed for my wedding, but it was the same recipe.
Was it? Okay. Because we named it. This isn't the one for my wedding.
This isn't the one for my wedding. It wasn't the beer. It wasn't from the batch he brewed for his wedding.
Oh, but it was the same recipe.
It was the same recipe
Okay.
that he had brewed for his wedding.
Fair enough.
So there's
I
Colin,
hello.
Sunburnt Saison was debuted at Colin's wedding.
Oh, that's right.
3 Saison. Saison is the official wedding style
Beer.
of beer. Did you get married in the summer?
June. Yeah.
June. There you go. It's
Official
beautiful.
wedding beer.
That would be why. Yeah, it's a good wedding beer. I would think. Having never been married, I don't know. But
Well,
This is
you
one of those
will have
beers
to
that's
brew a
like-
Saison for your wedding.
Just like be outside on like a nice warm day and just drink this all day long.
this would be really great out on the deck here
Yeah.
on a nice
Yeah,
spring
it
summer
would.
day. Yeah,
I can tell you from experience, it's pretty good out on the deck.
Yeah, I imagine it would go pretty well. So you come in, have the ESB with a pulled pork sandwich, then get the Saison, go sit and chill on the deck afterwards.
All right, I'm writing an itinerary.
Yeah, I got the day planned out.
Itinerary: park at the lot.
Yeah.
Walk to Conshohocken.
Step
Park.
Walk
one.
in. Order ESB.
Lot.
Eats pork sandwich.
Now,
Order Saison,
does the
go to
ESP pair well with the sandwich with or without the provolone? Or both?
That you're going to have to let me know.
Okay.
Did you see Charlie's face? He's like, what is he asking me right now? You'll have to get 2, one with and one without.
Oh, darn.
Then you can do a research study and write an article on it.
There you go.
The perfect food and beer pairing when visiting Conshohocken Brewing by
I can
Dan
do that.
Baker.
I can do that. Hopefully.
We'll come up with a more succinct title than that.
Yeah.
What days during the week do you guys actually brew?
It changes every week.
Do you brew twice a week, 3 times a week?
It still changes every
Yeah.
week. You'd think that darn near 5 months would be enough time for me to get my act together and actually have a rigid schedule, but that's not the case at all. So
5 months really isn't that long.
no. So last week we brewed 3 times. I think the most we've done is 4 brews in a week. So 60 barrels worth in a week. We could do more than that, but once we fill up the tank, it's in the tank for 14 to 17 days. We only got 4 tanks, so we fill 2 of them up one week, fill 2 of them up the next week. We probably have a week off of brewing.
Very cool. And you're always Monday through Friday? Do you ever come in and brew on the weekends or?
7 days, 24/7.
You're here
Yeah.
7 days.
24/7.
You don't leave. You
We
stay.
wrote that into
I
that
have a
contract.
cot. Depending on the season, it's either I'm outside or in the cold box.
Or depending on what's going on in the brewery that day. If you're brewing, you're probably in the cold box.
He's overplaying the cot. It's really just a pile of empty grain bags.
Oh, not
Affectionately
even-
referred to it as a
You
cup.
can't sleep on the full grain bags?
We
That'd
need-
be a little more comfortable.
We need that grain.
Yeah.
Poor Charlie. All right. We can go on to the next one.
Oh, now that we have your permission.
I
Are
give
we
you
allowed
my
to?
permission.
Yeah, anyway. So this is the one that just because I've been craving bitterness lately that I've been looking forward to. So Andrew, what do we have here?
This is our double IPA, making its triumphant return to the tap room. Special just for this weekend. Kind of rushed it onto tap. Didn't rush the beer, but pushed something else out of the way to get this back on tap before the end of summer. We made this one, and I think this was probably the only beer where we made it and we said, let's really try and push the envelope and maybe annoy the heck out of some people and make something that not everyone is going to think they can drink. And ended up with this 8.3% monster of a beer. It's all malt, no sugar. The hops are Bravo, Simcoe, and Summit. Yep. Thanks for reminding me. I should probably know that.
It was on your Facebook page today.
Yeah, this is definitely a
This is
polarizing
up your
beer.
alley.
Yeah, I
It's
love
all-
it.
you love
You either
Simcoe.
love it or hate it, but I love it.
I love this fills my craving so well.
Just the dry hops, we're using an obscene amount of hops per barrel, north of 3 pounds per barrel, and just in dry hops.
What was it dry hop with?
Quiz.
Simcoe, Summit, and Bravo.
Oh, okay. Very good.
And you're also going to release this in bomber bottles, did I read?
The plan is for a very small limited release in bomber bottles somewhere inside of the next very near future.
And is that you two hand bottling? Do you have a bottle machine here?
It's us two hand bottling.
Hand bottling. Wow.
It's a selling point. Hand bottled.
Hand bottled by Andrew and Charlie.
Very limited release.
Yeah.
Very limited. Like 5 bottles.
I was going to ask how many, but probably until you get sick of bottling.
Yeah.
Charlie's like,
Until we go insane. No more bottles.
Until Charlie throws one down on the floor. I'm going back to my cot.
I love the nose on this beer. It's awesome.
It is.
It's big.
That dank, resiny hoppiness that I really like. Yeah.
As much as I tried to make it,
it's like a nice complex nose too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
as much as I tried to make some people angry by this, it still wound up pretty smooth.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to have many people angry about this beer.
They're only angry when we're out of it.
Yeah.
There you go.
So was this another 15-barrel batch?
Yeah, this was 15 barrels.
I mean, with all those hops, holy crap.
We got a pretty low yield out of it because of all the hops.
Yeah. And you use all pelletized hops?
Yep, all pelletized hops, but they're a type that still has 90% of the vegetable matter left in there, so they're only minimally processed down.
Nice.
And you said it's what 8.3?
Yep, this one wound up at 8.3.
It's all malt, no sugar.
One thing I've seen, and one thing a lot of people do is throw in a little bit of dextrose or molasses or something else to try and bump the sugar up without putting too much flavor in. Molasses is a bad example because I'll give you a lot of flavor, but I wanted to go all malt on this one to make sure it had a thick enough backbone to support the literally obscene amount of hops that we put in there.
And it does. I mean, that backbone doesn't crumble under the weight.
But it is still an easy drinking beer. A beer that has a nose like this and has this amount of hops in, you would expect to. I mean, we've tasted some double IPAs on the show, and after tasting like 2 or 3 of them, we are like palate fatigued.
Yeah,
I have no enamel on my teeth left.
This, you get the bitterness, you get the flavor, you get the aroma, but it's still very drinkable.
and it doesn't linger for too long.
No.
like
And
it's there. But it for cleans up after. No, but no, it really does. Like
It does leave at least a hint of bitterness behind, but not so much that you're like, oh, get out of my throat.
And not for very long either that I'm getting. Like in between sips, the bitterness is gone, which I think kind of draws me back for more of it.
Yeah. And I think the first smell, the first sip, it hits you with that dank hoppiness and everything. And then after you take 2 or 3 sips, it kind of mellows out a bit.
Like jumping in the pool?
Yeah, like jumping into ice water or something, yeah.
You get used to it.
Oh, that was really good.
Thank you.
All of them were really good.
Which is why I've been telling you for the last how many months?
You
gotta go check out
know
Conshohocken.
my schedule, all right?
See, Wayne and I live in the Reading area, and we've both been here. I've been here several times. Wayne was here one time with me. And Dan lives in Philly. I guess, South Philly?
Yep.
I'm like, they're so close. Just go. But yes, he does have an insane work.
Yeah, no, I work 2 jobs, used to be 3, and it's tough for me to get out and do things.
But now that you've had a sip,
Right.
be drawn back.
Yeah, exactly.
So add to your itinerary. Okay, start with the ESB, pulled pork sandwich, saison on the deck.
Yep.
And then when you loosen up a little bit, you hit the double IPA to
Yeah,
just
have some chips
push
and
that,
salsa with the
push
IPA.
the evening over the edge for you.
Top it off. He's actually writing this.
It really is.
And I do have cheese, ? Written underneath pulled pork, because I got to figure
It's
out.
like choose your own adventure. You remember those books you used to read? If you want to do this, turn to page 20.
Well,
if
like
you
the
want to do this,
Goosebumps one?
No, Goosebumps
they
were
were
not
Choose
Choose
Your
Your
Own
Own Adventure. They were called Choose Your Own Adventure books. You walk into Conshohocken, choose your own adventure. Do you want to start with the ESB?
Look this up. I
or-
swear that I did it
through the
on-
front or from the deck.
That's right. Do I sit at the bar?
It's
Do I
almost
sit
kind
at
of
the
like
table?
real life
Do I
is
want-
actually a series of choices that you can make that lead
No
to
way.
other choices. No, right? It's crazy.
Do I want 4 ounces, 8 ounces, 16 ounces?
Those books were always lost on me because I just read them straight through.
Well, I would read them, and then I would read them again and choose the other thing because I
See what
had to
happened?
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why you're a teacher.
Or just play
guess.
video games. It does it for you.
There you go. And in most video games, your choices
Would it be
don't matter
confusing
anyway.
if you read it straight through, though?
It was pretty confusing.
It'd be like a
Yeah.
schizophrenic nightmare.
But then I watched something like Memento and it all made sense.
There you go.
I've never seen that movie.
Oh, it's a good movie.
So I hear.
You'd have to be a pretty smart kid to be able to read one of those straight through. come out with something.
Or have absolutely no reading retention whatsoever.
I mean, you could physically do
Every
it.
page a different choice. Why did each choice come out to the same results?
Wait, what did I just read?
I just got all possible worlds, and then I finished the book and decided which one was the best.
There you go.
If only you could do that in real life.
If only.
So now the question that lies in front of us. What are the favorites?
Mine is the CDA. I love it. It's a beer style that I'm really digging right now, and I think that Andrew and Charlie do a kick-ass job making one that is not only hoppy and malty and bitter, but completely approachable and drinkable, and one that I can drink several pints of. And so that is definitely my favorite. That's what I would want to fill a growler with and take home.
I would have pegged you for the Saison.
You know I love a Saison.
Yeah.
But I'm not in a Saison mood right
Interesting.
now. Although it was a really, really good Saison.
Yeah.
There was no beer on this table that was not delicious.
Well put.
This is another instance where...
Gun to your head?
No, where I say all the time, it depends what kind of mood I'm in. If I'm in the mood for a Saison, I was actually going to say the Saison, but I just went back and took another sip of all of them just to kind of double check. I'm actually going to say the Cascadian. I think it's the most complex of the beers here. Not that the other ones aren't fantastic, but I like the combination of the roastiness and the aroma and the maltiness and the taste, and then the hops in there. I think it's a very good balance between all those different characteristics.
Yeah.
The double IPA is also extremely complex and well balanced as well.
Yeah.
Not to push that aside as well. I'm
I just
drinking
don't
it slower and slower because I don't want it to go away.
I don't want to pick the IPA. I don't want to be that guy.
You don't want to be that guy? I have this friend Wayne. He just drinks those double IPAs.
India something else.
I think for me, I have to be that guy, and I have to pick the double IPA.
Do it. It's a great beer.
It was very good. I don't know if it's just because I was craving something that bitter, but it hit the spot that I needed it to hit.
That was the mood you were in.
Yeah, much like you in the CDA, I guess. I mean, I always love beers that have the hint of banana, like the Saison, and you know, I know we've said it. It's broadcasting school right there. I know we've said enough, but you know, every beer that was here was delicious.
Yeah, these are all great beers.
Yeah.
And that's what's great about this lineup here. If you come here, no matter what kind of beer you're in the mood for, you guys have pretty much covered the spectrum. There is something for everyone. If you're in the mood for a really bitter IPA, you have your options. If you want a Belgian beer, there's that. If you just want something light and refreshing, there's that also.
Yeah, we try. We've got the 5 beers that never move. The flagship IPA, Cascadian Dark Ale, Putler's Row ESB. I always forget them. I could just turn around.
It
and
used
look.
to be the Pale.
But yeah, Pale Ale, which we're retiring, and we're actually going to bring back a single hop Pale Ale series, which we were doing.
Yep.
I had a single hop beer when
We
we
had
were
the
here after
single hop
the goat race in May,
that
and it was
very
one of the best beers I had had in a long time. I was like taking pictures of it and tweeting about it. It was so good.
So no matter how much we love that version of the Pale Ale, it doesn't really move as fast as we think it should. So we're going to kind of bring that one back once in a while, but that slot's going to be taken up by a single hop beer, where we're just going to brew the same malt bill with different hops every single time, and just kind of give everyone the chance to taste what that specific hop tastes like. And be able to pick it out of the flavor profile in other beers. And then we got the Blonde Ale, which is also awesome on the deck. It's a lighter offering that we have to kind of gateway people into the craft beer. But other than that, the bottom 5 change constantly. So that gives Charlie and I a really good chance to play around, experiment, brew seasonal beers, for the summer, the winter, or the fall. We got a lot of fun stuff coming up too. So we try and make something different for everybody, and we try and make something different mostly for ourselves because we're very selfish and we only brew what we want to drink. So
can you give us a sneak peek of some of the beers that are coming up this fall that are in the works?
Well, like I said, we spent the better part of today blending coffee into a Belgian amber style ale. So that'll be on pretty soon. We've got a pumpkin beer in the works coming down the pipe. We've got a beer to guard. Yep. We got a triple in the works, a smoked beer to guard That's going to be coming out in a little bit.
Put smoked in a beer name and I will drink it. I love smoked beers.
It's because Steph's a vegan, so it's the only way she ever gets.
That's how I get my meat. I
Bacon
drink a
flavor,
smoked beer.
ham and bacon flavor.
Instead of just buckling down and eating real bacon the way God intended.
Oh, she's eating cheese today. She already told me.
Yes. I choose my days. Like, today is the day I'm going to eat cheese.
Well, you couldn't have picked a better day.
Well, I'll also mention that our beer is vegan friendly.
Awesome.
Very nice.
Our fining agent is vegan, so
Perfect.
good plug for that stuff.
Yay, vegan beer.
Steph's people.
My people will appreciate that.
All right, so now it's time for the Sophie's Choice.
I was just going to
You
get
guys
to
has to tell us.
have to tell us what your
we
favorite
like
Your
to turn
favorite.
it on to you guys. So, what
Sophie's
are
choice.
your favorites that we have here?
Let's start with Ken. We'll let the brewers think a little.
It is a Sophie's choice. I generally like the hoppier beers. In terms of what I usually take growlers home of more often, I'd probably go with the CDA.
So is this of the 4 in front of us, or
You do of the 4 in front of us, and then if you have another one
Okay.
that we didn't try.
well, the ESB, as Charlie kind of nervously mentioned, is kind of my baby. But at the same time, I'm constantly disappointed in that baby.
It's never good enough.
It's just that one. I want to be a perfectionist on that one. I'm always going to try and make it that little bit better.
Did you enter it this year for
Yes,
GABF?
that is one that is entered this year at JBF. We entered the ESB, the Saison, the double IPA, our Belgian IPA, which we didn't taste, but is still up there, and I can never remember more than 4 things. Brown ale, which we have kicked. That is no longer around. I would have to say ESB. Like if you locked me on a desert island and said I could only have one beer for the rest of my life, it would be ESB.
It's a solid choice.
I don't want one beer for the rest of my life.
Right, yeah.
I'm crying. Charlie?
For me,
I wonder what he's going to choose.
Well,
Do you have to say the Saison?
no, I don't, and I'm not going to.
Only if his wife is going to listen to this.
Angela's not listening to this one, Charlie.
Can you guys edit this real quick? Actually, I had this last night, and beer for me is like very mood driven. I go in phases. Right now, I'm in the double IPA phase.
So the double IPA.
It's a double IPA.
I'm glad it's not just me that's in that phase right now.
No.
It is a phase, though. You can't just drink double IPAs
All the
constantly.
time, yeah. I think
Some people can,
Yeah, some people.
and their tongues shrink like razors.
You should do some research
It's
on
weird.
And they're not terribly productive on Monday morning.
I see you have an. I know we're almost ready to close up here, but I have to ask about the Imperial Wit that you have. One of your one of your seasonals right now. Can you just briefly talk about that before we?
Is it
finish
part of
up
a
here?
complete breakfast?
It is actually part of a complete breakfast, I can tell you from experience. Funny little backstory about that beer. John, the other owner who is not present right now, really wanted to make a wit beer after I'd written out this beautiful 3-month schedule. And he just said, hey, let's throw a wit beer in there. And I was like, well, that just screws up my entire 3-month schedule. I'm not normally a fan of wit beers. I haven't made too many of them in the past, so I said, the only way I'm making a wit beer is we make it Imperial, thinking that John would go, no, I don't really want a really strong wit beer. But he went, that's a great idea, let's do it.
Oh, no.
So
then I
locked
had
himself in.
Yeah, then I had to come up with a recipe for an almost 8% wit beer, which we did with Charlie's help. And we made a wit beer spiced with chamomile, coriander, and lemon peel, fermented with the same Belgian yeast we got going right now, the Ardennes strain. And I'm equally happy and surprised with the way it came out for painting myself into that challenging corner with a dare that I didn't think I was going to get called on. That's actually one of my favorites right now. Now
John's going to come back to you and say, remember when you did that Imperial Wit?
Yep.
Let's do this now.
Yep,
The expectation is up there.
That we're definitely going to be making that one next summer. That's probably going to be a yearly Imperial seasonal.
Awesome. Fantastic.
So, Ken, I have a question for you. Yep. Being as though you mentioned that you wanted to do a cigar and mini golf place, what would you pair out of your lineup with a cigar?
If we had the brown, I would probably pair the brown with the cigar. Just the brown has got that nice, darker flavor that I think would go well with tobacco and a cigar. Kevin, our taproom manager, he's over there. His favorite beer is the brown, and he's very upset that it's no longer on tap.
That's why he's not talking to us.
He's just shooting daggers at us. Go make the brown. Go make the brown.
Out of what we have, what would you pair?
That was my next question. Thank
Yep.
you.
Well,
if I were going to take a growler home and get a cigar,
I would probably go with the ESB.
Okay.
Because again, you get some of those toffee and caramelly flavors from the beer. That, depending on the cigar that you've got, I think could pair well with that.
Okay. Doing a little more research and adding to my itinerary.
Yeah, so that's okay. You've got the ESB, the pulled pork, the Saison on the deck, the
know
double
what?
IPA to make you a little crazy, and then a cigar with
ESB again,
ESB
which makes sense because
it's got to end where it starts.
Yeah, bookending.
Yeah, well, it makes sense too because the pulled pork would probably have some sort of smoky flavor to it, and then you have the cigar, which is smoke in and of itself. I like it.
Yep.
I like.
You just planned his next.
And then you go home and have the Cascadian for dessert.
And then you ask if you could borrow Charlie's cot.
Yeah.
And the answer is no.
You can sleep on the deck.
I can pull aside some other empty grain bags for you, though.
As long as I'm the big spoon.
I like being the little spoon. Trust me. Oh man!
I hope you didn't actually write that in your itinerary.
What, little spoon?
The last bit.
Be a little spoon.
And then spoon with Charlie.
Spoon with Charlie. I only wrote it down because you said so.
It's fantastic, let me tell you from experience.
But let's not forget he is married.
Spooning or the beer? I'm confused.
Both. Spooning while drinking the beer.
Spooning with the beer. Okay.
Hashtag spoon with beer.
Spooning with
That's our
Charlie
hashtag for this
while drinking
episode.
the beer.
Are we going to come up with a hashtag every time?
No, our hashtag this episode is hashtag spoon with Charlie.
Hashtag. Oh, why don't I just write hashtag?
Both of those hashtags make me want to get on Twitter finally.
Speaking
I
of,
was just, man.
Perfect segue.
so if you want to follow Conshohocken Brewing
By the way, you're hired.
on Twitter at Conchi Brewing, CONSHY Brewing, and I'll turn it over to Dan for the rest of the plugs.
I don't get to do, a segue anymore, but yeah, at Conchi Brewing. The website would then be Conshahockenbrewing.com. Now, if you're like me and you have a problem spelling Conshohocken, here you go. CONSHOHOCKEN Brewing.com. And you guys are on Instagram also, right?
We are on Instagram.
All right, cool.
Conshohocken Brewing. We're on Facebook as well.
/Conshohocken Brewing.
Yep.
I'm only going to spell it once for everybody out there.
Absolutely.
If you missed it, just rewind.
But the best thing about Conshohocken is that it has KEN at the end.
I never would have gotten that. I like it.
Good eye, good
Clever.
eye.
What's funny is I think I posted so many things from here that now when I start typing CON on my phone, Siri automatically suggests Conshohocken.
That's cool. That's really
Yeah.
cool. Well, I think it is that unfortunate time to bring this episode of Beer Busters Podcast to a close. And it was Napoleon himself who had said, "On victory you deserve beer, on defeat you need it."
Amen.
I've lived that many times in my life. Well, gentlemen, we would love to thank you again for having us out here.
Thank you very much for coming.
It was
Thank you.
our pleasure. It was so much fun, and I will come back with my itinerary in hand.
I need a copy of that so we can hold you to it.
Okay.
We
Checklist.
should make it into a punch card.
We can do that, yeah. Well, I am Dan Baker, as always joined by my co-host and brewologist,
Steph Hefner.
and our fermenter-tainer.
Wayne Baker.
Until next time, my friends, we bid you adieu.
Hashtag spooning in the cot.